Hello, Lisa Christensen here. I am here with a Blue Night stamp called Willow Lake, and I absolutely love this stamp. This is the finished product. The stamp is the Willow Lake. It's one stamp. It's a scene of a boat on a dock with a willow tree. I absolutely had so much fun painting this. I actually painted it 8 different times to see exactly how I liked the color. And this was it. That was it. So let me get started. It's really just a wash with a couple layers of watercolor. I did use Daniel Smith. It's shimmery. There's some shimmer to the lake and a little bit on the grass, almost as if you were like, my thought process on creating this was you were like, it was a summer evening where the dew in the grass is just beginning to fall, and that there's some sunshine, or just that warm glow on the lake, and you just got done from a wonderful day with family. I don't know, I'm probably the most romantic person I know, but that was my thought process with creating the colors. And this card is very much all about color theory. So let's get started, and while I paint, I'll explain the color theory and the choices I made, and how to paint this to make it look like that. So anyways, this is a watercolor card. You could use other colors. It's not gonna, you can use whatever medium you have. I don't think you have to use, like this is a quinacridone yellow. A quin yellow is what we like to call it. It has this really warm feel to it. I don't know how to describe it. I'm sure other watercolorists can do a much better job of describing it, but what I'm doing is I'm painting everywhere where I want yellow to have some yellow. And it's a wash, so this card actually, it looks like it takes a lot of time, and you can make it that way. But I have found with watercolor that the more you just kind of go with it, the better you are. Now, some people might wonder why I don't tape my card down. I'm using really heavy paper. I really feel strongly that the better quality paper you have, the better your painting is going to look. And that, I think that's a good rule for almost all watercolorists. If you're going to do watercolor, if you're thinking about what to buy, like what to spend your money on, buy the paper. The watercolor will come, it's just easier to, the paper really helps the watercolor to move, and you really get better results with the paper than with the paint. That being said, I went the other way around. I think most artists do. They buy the paint because they're like, oh, it's the paint, it's the brushes, it's not the paper. No, it's totally the paper. Anyways, I'm just dabbing in a little bit more yellow because this is where I want the sun to go. I want it to be kind of bright, but I also want that little sunburst in the sky, so I'm going to add just a little bit of water and just let that go, because it is a watercolor card. I want that watercolor to shine through. Alright, so now I'm going to go into what I would call my greens, or my midtones. The green right now is what I would call my midtones. So to get the green, I'm using a sap green, any sap green, and then I'm adding a little bit of turquoise. I'm using a phthalo turquoise and sap green. You could also get Hooker's green. I know that sounds like a horrible name. I don't know why it's called that, but it's really a pretty green too, and it has some blue to it, and it is really neat. So I'm working on my midtones. I'm dabbing in the color and trying to not mess with it. While preparing this panel, I stamped the stamp with embossing ink, and you can find that like at any store that sells stamps and inks. I got mine from Ranger, but it's all. And then I heat embossed it with just some black embossing powder, so not a whole lot of. And you do want to work fast with this card. You don't want to, like, I don't know, dilly-dally is a good word, because you want the green and the yellow to mix on the paper to get that really pretty green look. And this is that'll work. And then I'm going to go back in, and that yellow won't be so prominent right there, but you can always mess with it later. All right, so now I'm going to work on my darker darks. And what I'm doing is I'm going to take this burnt umber and I'm going to paint the tree. And I want it to be dark on the sides, but the middle part I want it to be kind of light. So I'm putting brown on, and then I'm going to use my water to move the brown so it looks like that. There you go. Look, simple as that. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my green, to that sap green and turquoise, or if you have hooker's green or any other bluish green color will work. It's not that big of a deal. You could do this before you paint the tree. I just didn't, but it's not going to matter. And if the brown mixes in with the green a little bit, it's not going to matter. If you're worried about the brown mixing in with the green, just paint the tree first. You just don't want the tree to look muddy or something. Okay, so now I'm going to let this tree kind of do its thing. And now I'm going to go into the lake. Alright, so with the lake, all I did, if you notice, it is really just turquoise. I just used phthalo turquoise, which is what I just mixed with my green, so there's that color harmony going. And where the tree is, I'm just dotting it in because I want the tree and the water to kind of almost look like it's blended. Okay. Now, because there's green on my brush and I don't want green water, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to make this line really, really dark. This is my darkest value right here. And if you know where your darkest value is, that will help you not only become a better painter, but it'll help you tell your story of the painting that you're painting. Does that make sense? In my mind, it makes sense. Anyways. And now I'm using water to just blend the lines. And like I said, this took me 8 tries, so I know exactly what I'm doing. You might just stamp this in some black archival ink a couple of times to get it right. So then I can always go in and add more of that turquoise. This is such a pretty blue. And I'm going to go right through there. And then watercolor really is so fun to work with. I think the hardest thing is just knowing how much pigment to put on your brush and then how much water to use. And once you get that figured out, you got it made. I know people say, oh, watercolor is so hard. I don't know. I think once you understand it, it's really kind of fun. And I've been a serious student for about 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in May. So I feel like I finally have a pretty good grasp on watercolor. I can't believe it's been almost 2 years since May. Okay, so this is the darkest part, one of the other darkest part, but since there's already a lot of like black ink or part of the stamp, I don't want to like overpower it. I still want the stamp to shine through. So I'm just dotting in water. I can always go back and add it if I don't think it's going to be light enough. And then I just let the blue and the green and the yellow kind of mix on that side. You don't have to. I think it works. All right. Now I'm just looking to see kind of where the water is, if I need to blend it a little bit more. I'm really liking how this is turning out. I'm going to add a little bit more here, because it's going to dry lighter. Okay, That's looking really good. Now, I think the green on the tree is just perfect for me to add it. So I'm taking that turquoise and sap green again, and I'm going to dot it in to this. It's going to kind of blend in with the tree. That's okay. And then when things are further away, like hills, it's always bluer. So then I want to take that same turquoise, but I'm not mixing it with anything. This is just the pure turquoise. I'm going to let it blend naturally. Does that make sense? So then it's going to have that same color harmony that we so desperately are looking for. And I did just add some green right there, because you want it to look, and you want the values of the hills to be, I think, about the same value of the tree. Like, it's a mid-tone value. I still like that this is the darkest part, because it's not getting any light. The sun is behind the hills, so there shouldn't be much light on that horizon line. Okay, I'm sure. It's so pretty. I love walking my dog at dusk during the summer. We have a trail by our house that goes around the lake. It's just so fun. Okay, so I'm going to finish up the dock, and then we should call it good. So I know this isn't a 5-minute card, but 10 minutes of painting really can relax you and make you feel empowered. And that's what we're going for. And I don't have to pay attention too much to the lines at this point, because the stamp is doing all the work. I'm just adding color, and that's what I like to do. I like to add color. Alright, and then this boat. And then I did add a little bit of turquoise to the brown for the boat, inside of the boat, just because I wanted that shadow. I wanted it to look darker, and I might even add it a little bit right here, just to give it some texture. And maybe over here. I really like to add blue with brown, because it gives it more of a darker, richer color. When you use just brown, it looks just brown. It doesn't have that rich color. So I'm going to add a little bit. But be careful to what blue you add to a brown, because if the brown has yellow in it, you're going to get green. Anyways, I like it. I'm going to call that done. I could keep messing with it, but if the more I mess with it, the more likely I'm going to ruin it. So when you think you're done, you're done. Walk away from it. You can always add more pigment later, but let this dry, let it breathe. And then when it dries, this is what it will look like. Except for, I did forget, I wanted to use, so this is DuoChrome Oceanic. And I'm just going to add just a tiny bit. A little bit will go a long way. I just put a dab on my palette. And then this is a DuoChrome green, and I really like the DuoChrome Sagura green. I hope I pronounced that right. Daniel Smith, if you're watching, let me know. I don't know if that's the right, but anyways, this green, the Surago, whatever, Surago green, I added to the foreground, to the grass. And I just added a little bit. I'm just dotting it in. That gives it a really fun shimmer. It's just so pretty. It really is pretty when it's dried. And then this Oceanic, it's this blue. It just blends in so well for water. I love it for water. And I'm not doing the whole thing, just where I think it is. And then what I'll do is with my brush, I'm just going to, I guess, blend it in a little bit more to the water. There, I think that's going to look perfect. Okay, now I can walk away because I got my shimmer on. It's going to look beautiful. So anyways, that's how I paint that, and it turns out amazing. That's how it's going to turn out if you paint it right. So yellow, the greens, the browns. And then once that's dried, then you can go in with the lake and paint the lake. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, this is going to dry lighter. Watercolor does dry light. And then if you have some spare money to buy, I really recommend getting this DuoChrome. Any DuoChrome colors are really fun. The Oceanic, there's a lot of fun things. I can't wait to do more tutorials with those two colors. So anyways, happy creating. I'll see you next time. Again, you can get the stamp on bluenightstamps.com, and I'll have a link for it. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.